All right, a very pleasant good evening to us. Welcome to this evening's Class of Steel session. Today is Monday, the 2nd of May, 2022. And I almost wanted to say, you know, when you watch a Star Trek, you hear Captain's log, May 25, 2039. But we are here today, another beautiful day. I want to welcome the person of His Excellency Dr. Donald Ewers, our Chief of Protocol, Her Excellency Zanis Amaka Georgina Curry, here in the UK with us, His Excellency Dr. Daniel Sapuru, Reverend Stephen Abu, First Lady Jeannie Steele, and all of the others who are joining us by YouTube and Facebook and on our LinkedIn profiles, all of those who are joining us online. We want to welcome you to this evening's class. This evening we're doing, we did on Friday and Saturday for the youth, we did an open discussion because there are a number of issues and things that are happening around us in our specific regions that I think you would say they necessitate discussion openly to get our opinions, our views. How do we feel about those things? And just have a genuine open discussion. And as we're winding down for the close of class, our final class for this closing off this year would be on the 7th of May, which is Saturday coming. Saturday coming is going to be an amazing time because that's where we would put some amazing things in place for all of our members who've passed through this year successfully. And also we will be given the outline of what we have accomplished in 2021, 2022 year, what we have accomplished. We have a full review. And then also what we are projecting from 2022 to 2023 year, which is going to be for next year. So we will be doing some projections, and we'll also be sharing some events that we will be having coming up in the coming months. We do have quite a few events that are happening, namely the closest at hand is we are with Homemakers Women's Development Initiative and the Class of Steel. We will be in Dubai for a major event that is coming up shortly. And then also there's London. There's an event coming up in London on the 30th and the 31st. And then also we have an event coming up in India in September. And we also have Barbados coming up in October. So there's quite a bit that is actually on our table in the coming months within the structure of the Class of Steel. And also we have the appointments and individuals who will be put in place for the United Nations with regards to Homemakers Women's Development Initiative. Those persons will be put in office definitely in the coming weeks or months, depending on the approval rates. So things are really looking good for the Class of Steel as we continue to build momentum. I mean, if you know, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and you just have to keep walking and keep going as you get to the next level. Well, last Friday, we had a very stimulating conversation, and I think His Royal Majesty threw us off on a very interesting dynamic pertaining to the discussions. And this evening, I'm privileged to have His Excellency Dr. Ewers with us, who I know would challenge us as usual with this discussion. So Your Excellency Dr. Ewers, so much is happening around at the moment, and we are openly discussing the dynamics. You have the war, you have current crisis, the COVID. We've just been discussing a little bit about the updates about countries that are putting down the restrictions on vaccine and PCR, etc. And there's so many things, food shortages that are happening. Your Excellency, Dr. Yours, what challenges you and what have your thinking been and what is on your heart that you think we should discuss? The church, the community, the nations. What's on your heart, Your Excellency, Dr. Yours? And again, very special welcome to you. Lovely seeing you.
Thank you very much, sir. In life, we always have to have a balanced diet. And even with a class of Steele, you brought in what we call a fun evening or a fun day to bring a bit of laughter. Sometimes we are too, the British would say, is too stiff upper lip and too prim and proper. Sometimes you need to loosen up. And you love that term, Dr. Charles, to loosen up a bit. And where I might throw you this afternoon and you asking what my thoughts are, I feel this afternoon to be a bit more humorous and something where I know most of you might laugh where I'm going at. And where I would like to say where my heart is today is just the humor of us human beings, how we tend to do things, and when we look back, you said to yourself, why on earth did I do that? And where am I going with this is that in the world at the moment, they have food shortages. And in the UK, people start to panic buy again. You see, you already started to smile at me.
I'm laughing, Your Excellency, because I remember your dilemma.
That's where I'm going. Don't run before me, sir. Don't run before me. And that's where I'm going. And I just find the humor. And when I look back, I have to look back at myself and even have to laugh. Because panic buying now in the UK start up again. And here I am, get caught up with these people with panic buying. And the panic buying now, I don't know if you guys know, because I live in Birmingham, the panic buying now is oil, cooking oil, coconut oil, cooking oil. There's a shortage. I don't know if you're aware of that. But most supermarkets you go in there, you can't go cooking oil. So you're going on from one supermarket to the next supermarket looking for oil. And I started to find myself getting back in the same routine as if the panic buying, when I was panic buying for toilet rolls. And I remember I said, I bought so much toilet roll to fill up my garage. It took 2 years to finish those toilet rolls. And here I am going back again into another role of panic rolling, buying cooking oil. I've already got 6 buckles in my garage of cooking. I'm bringing a bit of laughter to that, saying the world, we can get in this whirlwind and get caught up in things that when you look back, even as a Christian, don't know save all a Christian you are, you can get caught up in the world. And the scaremongering of fear is something that all of us, including myself, get caught up. And so I just want to bring to the table, sir, with scaremongering and fear there's no cooking oil, fear there's no toilet roll. And so people started to panic and panic. There was a stage with fear with petrol. The queue for petrol, well, miles and miles along. And it was only because they didn't have enough drivers to deliver the petrol to the car. So fear. And so, sir, I'd like to bring on the table about fear, about panic, about how easily we can get caught up as human beings with fear. Any little thing, we get fear and panic, and we go. And even though we're Christians and we know the word and we know to trust God and let not your heart be troubled, and why us human beings get troubled for the least little thing? And the media, the devils control the media, the fear. You have certain experience, I have certain experience. The fear when I was going to Dubai that time of going in the red zone area and all that, my mind, the mind, Joyce Miles talk about the battle of the mind and fear. And so if we entertain fear and so on, we'll get caught up. So my thoughts, my sentiments, my thing, in the world, there's more to come. This is just the beginning. There will be more to come, shortage of food, and it's the end time, I would put it at. how do we balance? How do we bring normality to all this as human being? Instead of getting caught up with fear of what's going to happen and fear, I listen when you say, sir, some of us, when you listen about what's happening to the world and you're talking about China, that's also another breeding ground for fear. Because you get zoomed into all this, you get zoomed to all these things, and then you feed it into your mind. You go to your bed and can't sleep because of fear and the unknown. Mm-hmm. So how do we balance as our mentors with the unknown and the fear and the uncertainty of the world that we live into? And food is going up, this is going up, gas bill is going up, electric is going up, all the things you brought up the other day, everything you can think of. But our salaries and our benefits and our money that we get, it's at one level. That's fear. How do you cope? How do we balance it? And so without the grace, I can say, of God in our lives, sir, it can be a nerve-wracking, and this is where mental health comes in. How do we balance it? That's my take, sir. Thank you.
You know, I want. Oh, whoa! Good evening, you're Dr. Charles. We have Dr. Charles with us. Looking all auspicious. Yeah. I miss you so. I miss you. We miss you so badly on Friday, Dr. Charles.
Me too. Me too. I had a program. I thought I will make it quickly and come back, but the time I came back, the meeting was almost over.
Hey, we missed you, sir. You're welcome.
God bless you, sir.
Good to see you. We're having open discussions again. The next couple of classes, we'll be having open discussions. So I guess you will pick up from where I go on pertaining to this evening's discussion. So again, you're welcome. I just had to interject to welcome you. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Well done.
Yeah.
You know, Your Excellency, I will tell you something that is interesting, and this is a healthy discussion that we will have, and you've asked some very relevant questions. And as we get older, we tend to we tend to become more rational when it comes to panic. We become more rational, and this is very interesting. We become more rational, meaning if you hear the first time you hear about a hurricane, the first time, and you hear everybody say, oh, you have to get water, you have to get torch lights, and you're from the islands, like me, I'm from Barbados and raised up there. And when hurricanes are coming, there is a normal tendency to have a panic. I equally remember all of the times, most of them, the panic was subsided by we didn't get hit so badly, because Barbados is one of the most easterly islands in the island chain. So hurricanes tend to do this. Barbados is here, hurricanes tend to do this. They always do that. As a matter of fact, if you look at the history of hurricanes there, you would hear persons saying Barbados, Barbados seems to have God just there watching our island, because hurricanes come here and they do that, and then they go the other way all the time. They go around in a chain, and they miss us. But I remember, I think it was in 1956 when they had Hurricane Janet that wiped out Barbados in a significant way. A lot of chaos, and then throughout the years, again the fear factor subsided. We had Allen, David, and all different hurricanes, and it reduced. Why did I share that? I share it because we tend to get to a normalcy when panic does not work. For example, you had an experience where you panic bought for toilet paper. They say you're not going to have toilet paper, you're not going to have hand sanitizers, etc. And people panic bought. They did. But you did the store owners well by getting their new stock on the shelves, because you tend to have quite a bit of it in your garage safely. But I want to say something that's really important for all of us. For all of us, in the time of crisis, all of us, we need to sometimes sit down quietly and for our own selves look at the trend of things. I say this to individuals, quietly sit down and look at the trend of things. Don't just listen to one media, because as a matter of fact, you will discover that in the UK, what we're getting in the news in the UK is not reflected in China at all. It is not reflected in South Africa at all. It is not even reflected in Barbados, the rhetoric. It is not. It's even not reflected in the US, the rhetoric. You might think the rhetoric is all around, but remember, media houses like BBC, etc., when they have a rhetoric, the BBC that is in the different regions, they have the same rhetoric. Are you with me? So a person's listening to BBC would get the same rhetoric. But persons that listen to CNN, if you listen to CNN in the US and CNN here, you will get the same rhetoric, but it's not the rhetoric of BBC. Everybody get what I'm saying? But because they have their media houses in those regions, they feed the news accordingly. But here is something that, as I mentioned to you, that's important. You need to check the media for yourself to recognize what is serious and what isn't. In Russia right now, I have a few Russian associates, and in Russia, there isn't the panic that we think there is. A lot of stores that are in the US because of the sanctions, a lot of stores in Russia are closed. They have closed. I'm not going to name those stores for security reasons, but a lot of those stores are no longer operating. They've shut down. They've closed their stores and they've sent home the staff, etc., because of the sanctions, that are happening. Equally, as you look around, you would recognize that there's the testing of nuclear warheads. They're being tested. And the reason why they're tested is there's postulating going on. Countries trying to show who's great and who's powerful. But there's also antagonism that is also going on as well. And the banter that is trying to make one body look big and one body look powerful, and that's going on. Now I want to take you back to 1914 and 1919. I want to take you back to it. You need to be able to go back and observe what's really happening. Every 100 years, at the starting of that 100-year period, there is a war outbreak, a chaotic, and a reset. It is always, it is normal. If you're like me, a historian, and you go and you look through history, you would see that within every 100-year period, there's a crisis, there's a war. And it is because they're testing weaponry, they're testing, technology, they're increasing and advancing, etc., etc. And we're on the threshold. 1919, if you look back at 1919, you would see that it was the start of the World War. If you look back, you would see how things shaped out back in 1919. And you observe, wow, this is, this is something that is serious. It is serious. And 1919 to 1939, within that period, and we see the First World War, and then the second, we see that period that is going on in there, which brought about the forming of the United Nations. Now, we're on the threshold right now of another world war. We are. And it is happening, and there is nothing that's really going to stop it, because all of the signs, they are following a blueprint. And most people don't recognize that there is a blueprint that they follow, and they have to follow that blueprint, because that is the blueprint that tells everybody we're getting ready to do a reset. You see, earlier they had the canals that they're blocked off so that they form a backlog of persons not getting their shipping to the other borders. You see, they had conflicts on the seas. If you've been watching since 1919, there have been these conflicts. 2019, I'm sorry. Since 2019, these conflicts have been started. And as you look at what is happening, this is not really a panic time. This is a very real time that we are in, facing a very real threat of war. Very real. Now, here's something that's very interesting. While you were talking, that I was thinking, and immediately my mind went to the situation with Noah. It took 120 years. And a lot of people do not understand this 120 years. They really don't. But if you do some deep research, you'd recognize that that 120 years, there's always within that period a very chaotic time on the earth. Within that 120-year period, always. If you do all of your research, 120 or 120 years, you're going to see world wars, major wars that affected nations. You're going to see major floodings. And as I discussed in the last session last Friday, those floodings were because they were looking at creating waterways where they can have logistics of travel and resources reaching regions in a timely manner. Because of the vast size of the earth and the logistics of traveling, they've decided to open waterways. I mentioned to individuals that when they heard the persons talk about the flooding and the horse and the chariots fall into the sea, and they talk about this, these were not stories. These were man-made occurrences that flooded the earth to bring about regions where ships can pass through. And we see it in our lifetime with the Panama Canal. Don't get overwhelmed. We've seen it in our own lifetime. We saw the building of the canal that gave a passage across, and that was man-made. So if you look at the map of the world, you recognize there are three routes of transport that are always used for logistic purposes. There's the air. The British, as soon as they got into most regions, they used trains. They would put up train lines. And then there's the shipping. And shipping seems to be the most prevalent because the only plane that have been built with a major set of logistics and major weight that could carry was the Antonov, which was a Russian aircraft. If those of you who travel monitor aviation like me, that was one of the largest aircraft, the Antonov. And that was a cargo aircraft that can carry trains and different very heavy equipment. But logistically speaking, the amount of cargo, for example, that is needed, the logistics of flying that quantity of cargo and the potential of a crash is so great that you don't want to go in that. So what do? They open waterways, different channels around the earth. Now, this is one of those periods where a number of countries are panicking right now because they're blocking channels. And a lot of people do not understand why Egypt and Israel, Jerusalem, those regions are crying out for help. Please, please, please. Because if you look at the water channel, you'd recognize they are right in that water channel. And if they want to claim that area, they will have to flood it. Are you with me? Is everybody with me? So right now, they're displacing persons because they are going to open a lot of channels. Watch and you will see in the next five years what you will see. And I'm not trying to prophesy or anything. I'm just telling you in your lifetime, you will see it, that they're going to open a lot more waterways and a lot more channels because they're going to flood a whole lot more regions. The difference with this is that the logistics, the technology, and the competence and the ability to manage how much water goes through and what they do is different. Back in the day, they just broke open and the ocean flooded. The sea just came in and flooded like crazy. And Google that and see some of the places where a lot of flooding happened and a lot of people died. Now, what is happening right now is real. And I want to say this to every person. It is real. There's a reason why you see this panic buying. And it's because a lot of people have bunkers. You're not aware of the seriousness of this because you might not be in the elite circle. There's an elite circle of individuals who have to stay alive. because they control a lot of the technology, the logistics, the dynamics that are necessary for existence here. How many of you get what I'm saying? There's some people that you don't have a choice. There are a high level clearance, and you have to keep those people alive. And there are quite a few. I would dare to say there are quite a few 100,000, possibly over 1 million people that are in this elite circle that have to remain alive. They have to be protected because they manage technology, they manage certain things. So those persons, so that you are aware, and in those countries, there are bunkers that are there. How many of you know what I'm talking about? There are bunkers that exist. And those persons are preparing to stockpile for the impending potential war. So there's a lot of activity that is going on the ground that, to be quite honest, a lot of you are not aware of. And the reason why you're not aware of it is because, like, when the time of Noah came and he was telling persons to get prepared, a lot of people, we got prepared last year and nothing happened. We got prepared this time and nothing happened. Well, I want to tell you that we are on the threshold of something happening. And it is very real. I equally want to tell you that a lot of people in the next 3 years are going to unfortunately go home to their maker. And it is as a result of hundreds of thousands of people that were tested with this COVID vaccine. That is a test. And it is not gone the way that most people expected it would. It is as a result of water shortages. And Dr. Ewers and Zionist, you're in the UK, and I will tell you this if you're not aware about the amount of feces that is in our water, and the knowledge of our water sewers, and our sewage and our water is mixed in a lot of cases. And the water that we drink currently have passed through, based on the statistics, the water that we drink in London that comes from the Thames have passed through 6 or 7 people already. Are you aware of that? Because we recycle our water, and our water comes from the Thames. In London, for specifically, our water comes from the Thames River. And the Thames River is extremely highly polluted with feces because of the sewers that has leaked into the canals, etc. So if you even look at your area in Birmingham, in Essex, in different parts of the UK, look at your water quality and you'd recognize that it is a problem. And the funny thing is that the SARS that is affecting us, similarly, there's a causation that is going on with regards to diarrhea and with regards to vomiting and diarrhea. And that's the same thing that happens with the water that has feces in it because it's contaminated. Look, just Google contaminated water. As a matter of fact, don't even Google contaminated water. Google feces in water in the UK. Just Google that. Feces in water in the UK. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. So as you look at what's happening around the world and what's going on, the different dynamics, there needs to be a reset. There needs to be. It has to happen. As a matter of fact, I will tell you something as well. And Dr. Ewers, thank you for starting this dialogue, because you and His Majesty really get us going. But I'll give you, and I want you, I'm talking freely because I want you to think about the things that are necessary to think about so you observe what is happening. Most people would not be aware that our water has passed through 7 people already and is being recycled. We would not be aware of that because you don't do the research, and it is constantly recycled and recycled and recycled, our own drinking water. Now, the other thing that I will tell you is write this word down as smile. And when you smile, you'll get it. So most of us who have here in the UK a house, we have an attic. How many of you know you have an attic in the house? And in the attic, your excellency, let me go to Zionist. Zionist, what happens in the attic? Let's kind of have a bit of a laugh. Dr. Yours wants to laugh. Zionist, what happens in the attic?
Nothing. Attic is my storage space.
Aha! You said it. Everything that you're not going to use right now, you put it in the attic, correct?
And some valuable things are put in the attic.
Yes, sometimes some very valuable things are put in the attic, but also sometimes, if you like, you can have a room in the attic as well, a nice safety room in the attic as well. Okay, so the attic is a storage place in most cases because you don't store some valuables in your garage, you will store them in the attic because to get in, it's, all right. So that's the attic. I want to say something to you, and this is going to turn on a light bulb for a lot of you. And I know that most people are not aware of what I'm going to tell you. They see it in trickles, but they're not aware of it. And I'll build up to it. So what they have done with this what I'm going to tell you about is they've demonized it. They're demons up there. They're great devils up there. They're great sicknesses, etc., etc. How many of you know about the Arctic? The Arctic is not the Arctic. It's actually the attic. You should write that down for future reference. The Arctic is not the Arctic. The Arctic is the attic. The Arctic is where they are storing all of the seeds, is where they're storing all of the technology. It is where they are housing all of the major servers. It is where they are housing every single thing out of harm's way. So that if you need a reset, you can have a reset. As a matter of fact, I'll dare to tell you that they even have replicas of all of the monuments that can be destroyed, including the Eiffel Tower, including major cities. They have all of those replicas that can be recreated exactly, stored away in the Arctic. Go and do your research. All of the computer programs, they even have the genetic code for man established that is saved in the Arctic or the attic. They have all the top books and top novels and top football games. Every single thing is stored away in the Arctic. Therein lies the reason why so much military activity is out there, and they keep every person away from that location because that is the attic of the world. All right. So therein lies what is going on at that region. And therein lies right now, if you ever go and do some research, you would recognize that the top major servers for cryptocurrencies are in where? The attic. They need to be in the attic because the attic is where nobody is going to go to fight war. And nobody can find where it is in the attic. It's not easy. So everything that is happening is pointing in one major direction. We are on the verge of a reset. You're in the class of Steele, and you might have people say, oh, he's a conspiracy theorist. I'm not giving you no theories. I'm just sharing with you from observation. And I'm just giving you a look at what is realistic and what is needful to be looking at, because you've not been looking at those things. I also shared last Friday that the only thing that they cannot genetically modify is wheat. Everything else, basically, fish are genetically modified, potatoes, cows, all of these things are genetically modified. You could get mangoes without seeds. They've all genetically modified, but wheat poses an exceptionally difficult challenge for them to genetically modify. And the only country that has authorized right now, that has authorized a testing for genetically modifying wheat, and they're not calling it genetically modifying, but for wheat is the United Kingdom. we're the only players that have gotten the right to kind of delve into it. And guess what they're doing with it? The wheat that they're creating, they're trying to create that thing, I'm going to use the word thing, that reduces our immune system ability to be strong. So they're weakening us, because wheat is very good and very healthy. How many of you know what I'm saying? Very good. And equally, you recognize the first thing that is being attacked right now is wheat. In Ukraine and in Russia and in the regions of the world, they're burning fields because they're getting rid of the natural wheat, because the demand for wheat is going to be so great, and hopefully they will have genetically modified wheat as well, so that they can do what they're trying to do, is reduce the population. Not conspiracy theory. I'm explaining to you that it is happening right before our eyes. I also mentioned that there are principalities that are ruling and governing the earth. It's not a big deal. It's not like, oh, you're a Christian with this Christian religion. No, it's not Christian nothing. It's not Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, nothing. There are principalities that govern the earth. They are. That's why the principalities are there. They are, and it's real. And we, as I mentioned, we as Christians talk about, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. And we keep hearing people say Russia is a superpower. So what powers are you, Russia? You're not going to fight Russia by going down on your knees and holding down your head alone and saying that you're going to attack Russia. Russia is using atomic bombs. So what are you going to be doing, kneeling down and an atomic bomb drop over your building? Get what I'm trying to say. There's a reality to what we're talking about in the spirit realm. The spirit realm is real and it does exist. But pastors and leaders that are pulling individuals inside of a cocoon, scared, and telling persons you're not going to die, you're going to live forever, this and that and that. No, please. Get real. You're on the earth. You're here. And that's why I don't behave as though I'm ungodly or I'm not a Christian. I am a Christian. I'm a man of God. I'm a praying man more than most I pray. I'm praying all the time. Even in this conversation, I'm making sure it says, God, please don't let me say the wrong thing and offend the airwaves, and then the class still gets locked off. I'm always praying in the spirit. Always. You never cease with praying. But at the end of the day, you have to be equipped with knowledge. And you have to be able to prepare and tell your people, we're in a situation where we need to be prepared. We need to be mindful. This is not the time for fighting religious wars. It's not. Too many persons are looking at fighting religious wars. This is the time for letting your neighbor know, hey, I got 2 pumpkins. And your neighbor says, I got 2 carrots. And he says, can I have one of your carrots? And you could have one of my pumpkins. This is that time. Because if you make war with your neighbor who lives next to you, and your neighbor sees you bringing in all of these produce and all of these things to prepare, when the time of crisis comes, who's going to attack you? Your neighbor. That's who's going to attack you. So if you're in good relationship with your neighbor, what's going to happen? When you run out of food, you don't need to go far. You just want to go to your neighbor and says, hey, Joe, you got any potatoes? You got any carrots? I'm low. And Joe said, yeah, I got some. He says, what are you low on? I said, man, I got a lot of oil. You can have some of my oil. That's what it's all about right now. Not religious wars. Not saving souls and trying to be greater. No. Everybody's going to experience death like we did with COVID. We will. It's normal. War is going to take a lot of lives. It will. So what are we going to do? Fight, saying, I want as many Christians to go to heaven as possible. I want as many. Why not go and know that those that you leave behind, you left a good relationship. You leave good friends. I have some Muslim brothers and sisters, and it's not because of having Muslim brothers and sisters that I am the way I am. I have always been a man for people. I love people. I love human beings. I don't care what your religion is. I love human beings. End of discussion. If I go and I see somebody that is suffering and they're struggling, I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, or Buddhist, I'm going to help you. I don't care if you spew your hatred at me as a person that is helping you. I'm still going to help you. I might walk away and feel hurt. Wow, I wish he realized I was not a bad person. But at the end of the day, you're a human being. Oh, Dr. Steele, you're trying to be a good Samaritan. No, I'm not trying to be a good Samaritan. I'm trying to be myself. And if you are a part of the Class of Steele family, this is what I expect of you. Because when you go to countries that are going to have persons from different backgrounds, you want to be friends. You don't want to be enemies. On the verge of preparing, Your Excellency, what I would say to individuals, prepare. Don't go to any extreme beyond your own ability to prepare, but prepare. Prepare within your means. But the best preparation you could do is build relationship with those around you. I'll say that again. The best preparation you can do is build relationship with those around you. Because whatever happens, and all of you are fleeing in a direction, those that are around you will be moving with you. And you want those that are around you to be close to you, not your enemies. Too many persons have enemies with their neighbors. You don't need it right now. You need relationship. You need to say, hey, are you okay? That old lady that lives next door, is she okay? That old man that nobody speaks to, is he okay? Daddy, do you need anything? Daddy, are you fine? That's what we need right now. More than ever. That person that everybody's going and filling their larders and filling their shelves, and that person that can't get out. You know what's the saddest thing in the UK? The saddest thing in the UK is that we have a lot of elderly folks that die in their rooms. Zionist and His Excellency Dr. Ewers know what I'm saying. They die in their rooms, and you go and you see bones next to a TV because nobody visits. Nobody goes and sees. Nobody pays attention, and they die. They're disabled people that you know. Set up a watch group. Does somebody know what is happening to this person? Does somebody know how this person is going to be? Just be a friend. Are you okay? Are you going to be all right? I just want you to know this is my number. If you know, just holler at me, in this time if you need me. That's what ambassadors do. That's who ambassadors are. We are messengers of good news, good tidings. We're messengers of help. We're messengers of support. My wife and I was having a discussion, and she was saying to me, darling, I don't know how you do it. She said, darling, I don't know how you do it. She says, when I see the things that happen to you and I don't know how you do it. I remember there was this guy that he had a seizure, and nobody knew what to do. He was at an event, and I went, and the guy pulse stopped, and he went, and he came back. I was able to revive him and stay with him till the ambulance came in my arms. Over an hour, I think it was. And he came back, he was okay. The guy knows me, and could you imagine the guy avoids me? And I said, I don't understand mentally. Because when he realized the brevity of what happened and I was there, and I'm thinking, but I thought the person would become my best friend. I thought, wow, this would be like, do you know what I mean? And I would check in to make sure he's all right and just say hi. Nope. And you just experience these things. There's so many things. But I think the reason why the Lord allows those things to happen to all of you, because all of you have the same stories. How many persons have you looked out for and they don't care about you? They don't even notice you. How many? The reason why that happens is because you need to get to a place where it's not about us. It's not about giving us any praise or any, it is just about doing what's right. With reward or without reward, you do what is right. So in this period, look out for others. In this period, charity begins at home. Charity begins in your community, those that are close to you. A number of you might have seen my wife inside of some picture. My wife and I, we don't go out or anything like that, but a number of you might have seen on my status, my wife in a photo. She went out because it was the 60th birthday of our neighbor, her 60th birthday. And I told the first lady, because I'll look after Josh and everything, and I want her to go. It was a long journey to go where it was. But I said to her, darling, you go. That's our neighbor. And she's our friend. You go, darling. So sometimes you look out for your neighbor. You make sure that your neighbor knows that, hey, I'm here for you. You just do it. You just do it. Don't look for reward in it. Don't look for somebody to celebrate you because you do it. Don't look for somebody to reciprocate what you're doing. You just do it. You do it. You be kind to them. You show them love. Because in that time of crisis, they will know, even if they were not showing you love, they will know you loved them and you never meant them any harm. Are you with me? Please, I want you to get this. You show that love, even if it is not showed back to you. I could assure you the organizations that I promote them and I lift them, I don't get back the love, but it's irrelevant. You just give it, because when the time comes, you'll be remembered. And even if you're not remembered, you will rest peacefully in your bed. How many of you know a good night's sleep comes when you know you didn't do your neighbors anything wrong? If your neighbor is doing you something wrong, it's them that's going to lose sleep, not you. Not you. I don't lose no sleep. When I lay down, my wife will tell you, if I sit down and I decide I'm going to go to sleep, in 5 minutes, I'm out. Still out. 5 minutes. I don't have no troubles going to sleep because my conscience is clear, my heart is the right place, and I know that if my eyes don't open, Joshua is going to be looked after because his father and his mother are good people, and we treated people with love, honor, respect. Zionist, you are here, your turn. Go ahead, Zionist. What's on your heart? It could be a totally different subject, Janice. We're just having an open discussion. Could be totally different. What's on your heart?
Yeah. I present good evening to all the excellencies in the house. Dr. Reverend Charles, it's nice to see you smiling. I'm sure you are absorbing everything that is being said. As you can appreciate, it's a different context back home in Africa and here. And much as you're a very highly learned and endowed man, we speak as though we are aliens. So some of these things are foreign. When you have to be good to your neighbor, where we come from originally in Africa, it's natural. You don't have to be taught to do that, because hence, we are. Is it called nucleus family? We are all interconnected, but here it is quite the opposite. And I don't think it used to be so. But the advent of development brings along its own social demise. And so the world that is enlightened is so disjointed that I find it quite a laugh when they refer to Africa as a developing world. when actually the analogy should be the other way around. We are so primitive in the West, but yet we think we are, we are it. So yeah, everything you say, Your Excellency, is quite right. But it's sad that we have to, we have to revisit this wisdom in order to disseminate it and use of it, and and all the right word that says we have to be human, we have to be interdependent, interreliant on one another. So this moment as well as any other time, there's always a need to be to be in community spirit at any time at all. But fortunately, chaotic time has got a very, very funny way of bringing people together, whether you like it or not. So in the day of chaos, you will find people even more unified than they are in the day of plenty, in the day when there is no problem. We are praying that whatever lies ahead, that the grace and mercy of God will help us to sail through it. Nothing is forever. There is a time for war and a time for peace. And whichever may be our lot, we pray for the divine mercy and grace of God to help us sail through. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm Zionessa Makakori.
Okay, Your Excellency, thank you so very much for your comment. And I think I should agree with you. And thank you for putting that in place, because you are so correct that in Africa, everybody knows everybody because it's normal. But it's just here where we wrestle because of our own diversity. We wrestle to have those close to us. So that is well noted for sure. I want to ask Daniel Sapuru, Your Excellency Daniel Sapuru, will you lend your take and just share what is on your heart as we go through this period? What's on your heart?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Bishop Michael Steele. And I want to greet everybody in the house. What is my take? I want to say that what you are saying is just very important. And when Dr. Ewers talked about panic buying, I just remember what is going on in this country where we are today. I'm in Nigeria, where we talk so much about panic buying is when we have what we call scarcity of fuel in Nigeria. So, and when there is a little rumor that the federal government is going to increase the pump price of fuel, then panic buying will be everywhere. So that is just what I want to say about that. But then I am happy when our sister Zionist, talked about individualism, and so when I went to France to study, I got a very big shock in my life. Very big shock in the sense that you will be in a street. When I say in this, you will be in your house, and for 1 year you wouldn't know your neighbor. For 1 full year you wouldn't know your neighbor. And I compared it with what we have here in Africa. In Africa, everybody is your brother, everybody is your sister, and we live the life of I don't know whether this word is correct, collectivism. So we live the life of collectivism. Everybody is your brother, everybody is your sister. But when I went to France, I got what I call cultural shock, because I lived with a French man and his wife, and we have neighbors who I didn't know until maybe some few days to my leaving. Then we started introducing ourselves to each other. So what I'm trying to say is that what you said, that the big asset we can have at this particular time is to make friends with our neighbors, make friends with people. In fact, try to be acquainted, with many people, because that can save a lot of things. The world is getting from bad to worse as far as relationships are concerned, and as far as friendship is also concerned, because when we look at what is happening today, Russia and Ukraine, who knows where else it will go? Everybody is visualizing the Third World War. And I seriously believe that it is our friends that will be able to help us escape, in certain situations. So I want to thank God for tonight's lecture, tonight's lesson, because if we don't do such, it will be a very big problem. I would like always, to talk about Nigeria, especially where I am today. When I was in Jos, it was a little bit a different case. But here in Imo State, you'll find out that almost every day you hear about killings, almost every day. Like 2 days ago, or 2 nights ago, there were gunshots everywhere around us here. And we saw some people running helter-skelter. And it was people who informed us what was happening. If we didn't make friends with such people, I believe they wouldn't tell us what was happening. So friends are good assets, in this period. And how I wish that I will make more friends than I have today. Thank you very much. My name is Reverend Dr. Daniel Elendo Soporo.
Your Excellency.
From Nigeria. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Reverend Daniel, thank you so very much for your submission. And equally, I had a rude awakening when I first came to the UK in the 90s. I had a very rude awakening, and I discovered that what I was pining for in light of family does not exist here unless you came up amongst the family. I discovered that siblings are, they're not interested. It's different. It is very different. And unfortunately, it's a very bitter pill to swallow. It really is, because when you come from a place where family is family, we're close. We know everything. We look out for each other. We care about each other. And I'm a love child. I tell my mom, every conversation I finish with my mom and my sisters, I say, I love you, love you, boo. Even with my dad, he's gone on now, but every conversation, love you, boo, and love you, sis, love you, and here, people say, oh, why are you always this love you, so just is you start to feel as if you're strange or you're weird for being that way. But I guess sometimes cultures give us what we call culture shocks. And then you look at the expectations that persons have of you when you're here. They have one mindset, not realizing, ooh, you're so wrong. You're so wrong about what you think is going on here or how you think it is here. You're so wrong. Because you're there, you don't see. So culture does play a major difference where we're at. One message that is strong and necessary for one culture might be, why are you talking to me about that? Bro, that's not, I don't need to hear that, bro. You see how we are? You see how my family is? We tight. So the dynamics are different. That's why it's good to travel. Because when you travel, you get to understand why people speak the way they speak. You get to understand why people discuss the things they discuss. And you get to understand why cultures respond the way they respond. And it creates a better form of relationship. That's why in this mentoring and preparing individuals for the next role as ambassadors, I want to give them a clear perspective. And Zenis, I really thank you for jumping in there, because it is needful to strike that balance. In an audience, you always have to remember, gauge your audience. If my audience was just Africans, I wouldn't even discuss anything about that closeness at this level. But because I know what it is like here, I can tell you there's one of our neighbors that is right next door to us. And as hard as we try, we don't have that openness that is there. So it is difficult. It is difficult to have it with them because they don't want it. You just have to do it with those who allow it and leave it at that. I see, and I must mention this, that on the 5th of May is the 67th birthday of Daniel Supuru. So Daniel, on the 6th is your birth, on the 5th of May. And actually, I'm glad you told me that, because the 5th of May is actually when I have to go and vote. On Thursday, I have my poll card right here for Thursday, the 5th of May. So let me put Reverend Daniel's birthday on it.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your submission, Reverend Daniel. I want to ask Dr. Charles. Stephen, I'm going to come to you last. Let me jump on Dr. Charles. Dr. Charles, what is your what is the hot subject for you this evening, or what do you want to add to the discussion?
Good evening, Your Excellency.
Good evening. Welcome. Well done, sir.
All the excellencies in the house. I missed everybody greatly, but thank God I am back, and the train is moving. You know, it talked about neighbor, being able to acquaint with your neighbor. It helped a lot. I discovered where I'm currently living. We have a tricycle park opposite my gate. So every time I want to drive in, they will block my gate. At the time, I quarreled with them for some time. I had wanted to call police, but I decided to let it slide. And one day, one of them made a statement that shocked me. Somebody said, you see this Oga? We don't need to quarrel with him. We just ask him to bear with us. Because whenever he is in trouble in this neighborhood, we will be the same people that will come to his aid. And believe you me, one day, my car got a problem. And I was able to roll the car into the street. These were the same people that came and pushed my car and pushed it into the house. If I had been in a loggerhead, a continuous loggerhead, or go to police, go to court with so many of them, everybody will abandon me and will be on my own. And sometimes it's good to know, to relate with the people in your neighborhood. I remember the youth marked Biafran Day, and they declared sit at home for everyone in the Southeast. But the Army General from a barrack close by came and said, everybody should go about their business, open your shops, that this is illegal. The government does not support this. Only after he just finished saying that, they went into the barracks and locked gate. Then the youth agitators came and blocked everywhere. Suddenly, my wife took sick and was dying. I had to drive her to the hospital. I just drove the car from my compound. This youth that blocked the roads everywhere, they say, oh God, don't even think about coming out because we are going to lynch you and burn your car and this. Well, what happened? I stepped out of the car, walked to them quietly, say, please, brothers, I am one of you. I got a situation. And believe you me, I looked at and I saw 3 young men that all of us usually watch football in a viewing center. I said to the young man, don't you know me? Don't you know me? Don't you know me? It was them that called everybody and said, please allow this to go. He is our pastor. If I had not been relating with the people in the neighborhood, I would have been in a hell of trouble. There's no way I will make it. Your Excellency, I got something you were talking about, that we are at the verge of a reset. I believe I hear you all right, and understanding what a reset is, maybe in computer and everything. And I remember the vision of Daniel concerning the world government system, where the status from the head of the gold to silver, from Babylon to Roman Empire, from Roman Empire to the mixed one ruled by Anglo-Saxon, until they have the merger of the clay and the iron that cannot mix. I discovered that this world, like you say, are ruled, or certain people that come to a principality level decided to consolidate hold. So they started creating things, like you say, about the storage, where if everyone is wiped out and the few that can rebuild again. I believe that is the reset. But the issue in this is that we sometimes read about the people that build the Tower of Babel. They want to advance and create security for themselves, excluding reverencing the Most High and thinking about humanity. I believe these safe houses and everything that so many of the Western principles, we call them principles or principality. In fact, let us minus the spiritual principalities, because the physical principalities are the people that believe that they are under the control of the spiritual and the physical. They believe they can cut the short in this world. But we discover that sometimes natural disasters occur, like this COVID-19. Every one of us, we understand. Anyone that is civilized knew that that is a biological warfare. That some people think that some people will be wiped, and we that are in Africa, that we are more vulnerable, we discover that we are the less hit. As at when people were dying in thousands, going to millions, in my country, Nigeria, everybody was moving freely, no face mask. The markets were not shut down. Even they shut down, they said the government discovered that it was a mistake, because It wasn't affecting anybody much. So sometimes when people think they are in control of the world, you see how the world powers are flexing muscles. This person is threatening, if you come near my territory, and they divided the world. We have independent nations, but they discovered that none of the independent nations we are actually independent. An independent nation will be colonized by a bigger nation. And they tell us that they are practicing democracy, government of the people, by the people, whereas somebody somewhere in his own country is running and calling the shot for somebody in faraway country as well. I believe in this situation we are in is in a situation of reset. And I believe that God will help us that are vulnerable. If they go into their nuclear holocaust, believe you me, before it will reach us in Africa, I believe Europe and America will be wiped out first. Maybe we'll be the remnant. But if men should be their brother's keeper as well, as it's supposed to be, this world is so vast, it can contain all of us. I remember what caused the First and Second World War. People were scrambling over Africa. Africa is my own. This is my own. Don't even come near. And then we are quarreling over the plantain in Cameroon. Okay, somebody say we sell this side of Africa, Cameroon, to you, and this. No, you are the less bidder. We sell it to another person. Men are making merchandise and making business out of this world and with human lives, and they forget that they themselves can die. My dear Dr. Steele, we should be prepared mentally, spiritually, and physically, because you will discover that most of the people will think that we come to our aid will not in the end come. Look at what happened to Ukraine. While Ukraine is fighting with America and with Russia, Russia invaded Ukraine. What the people that we are pushing the Ukraine, you are our allies. We give you weapons. You people go and kill one another. Suppose it if Ukraine wipes Russia and Russia wipes Ukraine. You see, some of these people will still come and divide their land. So I believe that, like you said, we have to be our brother's keeper. And we have a mixed people in this world. We have Europeans that are very good, individuals and organizations. But we are these same people not in the formulation of the policies, both internal policies and international policies. I think that is where the problem is, because we build our nation in what do they call it? In the detriment of others, which means selfishness is not overruled. And that is the selfish nature of a man. And I know that man is working towards destroying himself. But may God help us. They are building towers of Babel. Everybody wants to have nuclear arsenal so that no one will threaten you. If anyone threatens you, you tell the person, I will unleash this demon, and you die and I die. And maybe that person that wants to come and threaten you, we look at you and see, this guy, let me use our vulgar language. This guy is more mad than me. He's a madman. If I better treat with caution with this madman. but it is still selfishness is a grand madness. We can't coexist. You can coexist. I believe that what causes war is violation of treaties. We engage in agreement we cannot keep. And somebody say, why not? Remember the agreement, he said, shut up. Who asked you to talk about it? I have changed my mind. So, sir, we should be prepared because there is a reset. Those that can pray, pray. Those that can prepare, prepare. But walk and pray. That is what we fix the whole situation. And God will bless all of us real good. Your Excellency, I'm still your very own, Dr. Charles Onyechi. Thank you, sir.
Dr. Charles, thank you so very much. I just posted a document inside of the Class of Steele's forum. I just shared a document with you, and it's a major document, major work, and it's about 350 plus pages document on dams of the world, because I want you to have a look and understand the level of research I do as well. So you get a sense of the bigger picture. There's a bigger picture. Never think that Nigeria is part of a small picture, Ghana. There's a bigger picture. And as you see the bigger picture, you understand better. And Dr. Charles, thank you so very much for your submission. You've made a very interesting point about principalities that I think equally I discovered as well when I came to the UK, and then I started doing deeper studies into things, order and chaos. Most of you, if you hear order out of chaos, you would understand a little bit more. And just to be quite open, everything that is happening is a process. In order for Ukraine to ascend to NATO, Ukraine has to show that it has the ability. It's an initiation process. It has to show that it's willing to sacrifice lives. It has to show that it's willing to stand up against allies and not afraid. It has to show that it's going to open its mouth when chaos is coming to other countries. You know, they say that if good men stay silent when bad things happen to good people, then good men are just as bad as the bad men that are doing it. You know what I mean? And if you don't stand up for something, then you will fall for anything. But the concept of what's happening with regards to Ukraine is going to elevate to the status of NATO. It will. Russia is not a part of NATO, and you would recognize that because it sees itself as an empire controlling all of Europe. And here comes small NATO wanting to control what USSR was controlling. Get a bit of the history so you kind of see it. All of Romania, all of those belong to USSR prior to the Cold Wars. And I bet you didn't know that Russia is the prince for actually Turkey. Turkey is actually mommy and daddy. So do some research, And nobody's hearing anything about Turkey, but most people don't recognize that Turkey is Big Daddy if you don't know your history. And Turkey watches and sees quietly because Turkey is Big Daddy. But outside of all of that, you have regions that principalities are real. But I want to also say something, and it's not in a conspiracy theory kind of thing. I want to say something that is real that you need to understand. There is an alien side to what's happening with regards to principalities. There is. Don't be intimidated or fooled or thinking that that doesn't exist. There are spiritual battles that happen, and we read about them, but we don't kind of want to what's the right word? Make a big deal about them. When we see other religions or other organizations talking about these things, we want to believe as if these are devils, these are demons, quote unquote. That's how we want to behave. But we must remember that there was war in the heavenlies, spiritual war. And Michael and his princes, yes, they came, it was real. These things are real. If I tell you some of the things that I have seen as a bishop personally with my own physical eyes, if I tell you some of the things I have seen, you would say that I walk into witchcraft or I believe in obeah and voodoo, and you would say some horrible things. But let me be quite honest with you. A lot of us Christians that quote unquote want to kneel down and pray, close our eyes to the reality of the existence of real principalities and powers and real people on the earth. We don't take it serious. We don't understand. We don't understand that there's a that Russia is a principality, a major one. We don't understand that they are governed at a very high level with spiritual authorities that want huge sacrifices for the services and the benefits that they give into Russia. You have to understand this. They want a sacrifice. Even us as Christians, we present our bodies as a living sacrifice. We really do not understand that we're saying the same thing. Those principalities want sacrifice of souls, dead. And the people that govern those principalities, they send souls to war and they get killed. And the souls go up to those governors because why? They pledge allegiance to this authority. And I hope you get what I'm saying to you, because we do the same thing as Christians, but yet we don't understand there are many that have need of sacrifice of souls. And when those souls get, as a matter of fact, I will tell you that medical science, and this is really horrible to say, but it is real and it is out there. Most of you do not know that, for example, in the US, in the UK, I could assure you every single week, thousands of people are sent to their death by medical doctors who determine what should be used, and hundreds of thousands of people die every single week. Every week. Medical doctors sign that document that send hundreds of thousands of people to their death. And most people don't even, you're not even aware of it. But it is real, because there's need for sacrifice of souls. And I'm talking to you at a deeper level because you're in the class and I want you to get it. If I die, what's the point of this knowledge going to the grave? It's normal. We complain about people dying from COVID. More people die from cancer every single day, all over the world combined, every single day, than you can think about. Why is nobody fighting about it? Why is nobody talking about it? Because it's not of commercial value at this point. Cancer has been established with commercial value, and it will remain there. The deaths and the lives that it is taking is a gift unto a God that has received his gift, and he continues to receive the souls of those that are coming as a result of that death that have been plagued them. But we need to be aware that these things are real, and don't pie in the sky them. The document that I just sent to you in the class of Steele, it's a deep document. Read it. Read it and see who are the people that make the decisions around the world. Read it and see that if you want to dig a dam or you want to open a passage or something like that for a particular reason, read it and see it's not as simple as that. Nothing happens by one politician going in the back room and saying, oh, I want to do this. No, they don't. Those politicians are governed by principalities, by dukes. And those dukes tell them what they want to happen and prepare it for the next generation. Do you think people that are storing things in the Arctic are storing them for them to come back and get tomorrow? They're not. They are the architects of the universe. They're the ones that have to make sure they do this documentation. Do you think Elon Musk thinks he's going to be here for the next 100 years when Tesla is still around? So I'm just saying to you, get a full understanding of principalities, get a full understanding of powers, get a full understanding of rulers, and by the way, of darkness, because a lot of things happen in the night. Get an understanding. And when you do that, you recognize, whoa, I'm a Christian and I'm going to die being a Christian. I've already put my, as the saying goes, I've already put my hand to the plow. I have a Christian plow in my hand. It will never change. Never. If I find myself at that place of deciding, Michael, you're gonna decide this or that, I'm gonna say, beam me up, Jesus, or I'm done. I'm going home, because I've made a decision based on all of the myriad of decisions that there are to make. Because I know the host that's gonna protect me. I know the host that's got my back. I know when I walk into battle, who's fighting with me. And I know that when those principalities see who's with me, they will know I'm with somebody. And when the fight comes, either we win or we lose. There's casualties in every battle. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But the whole thing is, I know which team I'm on. Do you know which team you're on? Because a lot of Christians are getting the revelations that I'm sharing with them, and they're leaving Christianity. Why are you going to leave Christianity? Or why are you going to leave Islam? Or why are you going to leave Buddhism? That's where you were born. That's who governs your family and your generations on top of generations. Stay where you belong. That's how I look at it. Stay where you belong. Because at the end of the day, if you come over on my side, you're gonna have a lot of things that you're battling with. And to be quite honest with you, most people don't recognize this. But sometimes when you bring the wrong people in the camp, you can have serious problems that you didn't plan for, because you don't even know the covenant that is on the head of the person you bring into your camp. And my people perish for lack of knowledge. What's the best thing to do? As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. That's a done deal for me. But when I go into somebody's environment, I respect them, I honor them, because at the end of the day, I come in peace. I did not come to bring war. If you harm me as a result of me coming to bring peace, it's unfortunate for you. But if I come into your camp to harm you, then it's unfortunate for me, because why would I walk with a sword when I can be walking with a bottle of water? So understand principalities. Principalities are people that are on the earth that are governed by spiritual authorities. They live on the earth. A major principality is preparing for her leaving the earth. That's the Queen Elizabeth. I will say it clearly because it's not that big a deal. It's a reality that exists. She's a major principality that governs nations. There's going to be a need of a huge amount of souls that are going to go with her. A lot of you are in Africa and know the African culture when a king dies. As a matter of fact, let me unmute Dr. Charles. Dr. Charles, I need to unmute you for this particular one. Dr. Charles, you know that the African culture is when a king dies, or Pharaoh, when a Pharaoh dies, what happens? There have to be many souls that go with
so
him.
many people with him. And they say that he needs, maybe where he's going to the world beyond, he needs servants, people that will be pouring water into his hand, still serving him as he's being served here. But the problem is that none of them that has gone there came back and tell us whether there will be a servant there or not.
Dr. Charles, that's not the issue. The issue that I'm trying to bring out, and I will tell you, the issue that I am trying to bring out, but I'm telling you, the issue I'm trying to bring out is that is still the laws that are governing the pharaohs to this very day. And that is why we have wars at these critical times, because there needs to be a sacrifice of souls. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't want you to minimize what I'm saying. I'm strengthening the reality that the same thing that has happened for centuries and hundreds of years is the same thing that is happening, but we do not have access to the blueprint. And we just see people getting killed, and we just see people killing people, and we don't understand that it is the same thing. And in this era, when we see that the Queen of England is going home, there is going to be need for a huge sacrifice. When nations are being born, for example, Ukraine is a nation that is being birthed at a different level right now to stand on its own. There's going to be a need of sacrifice of souls for this to happen. And as I say it, I want people to understand that it is natural, because we are not governed by our own understandings as we see it. We are governed by principalities and powers and rulers of darkness. And there's a battle for the souls of men. There is. That's all there is. So we might butter it down and say, but that's not fair, but that's not right, but that's not good. But you need to know
that is the truth. That's the truth. Whether it is fair or not, it is the truth. That's what has been happening.
And it will happen even after we're gone.
Look at somebody, we go because of one frenzy thing or the other, send thousands of troops and they die, whereas their children, they will send them to the best of the schools and this, they don't need to die. The other people have to die for us. And they will tell you that you are sacrificing for the nation. Why can't they and their children sacrifice for the nation as well?
Well, they go to war, and then after they die, their children get admitted into Harvard and Eton and top universities because they sacrifice to the gods so that their children can get into these places. Your Excellencies, I think that I have shared quite a lot with you on this subject, and I just want you to be informed. Don't just sit down and get angry when you see genocides. Genocides are necessary. They're necessary because sometimes you see people getting an opportunity to go into another land. They're getting an opportunity to live a life as a result of the sacrifice of the others. It is so horrible. When I sat down and I studied the dynamics of the ecosystem of man's existence on the earth, it is horrible to recognize these realities that exist that supersede our own understanding. As a matter of fact, if you do a search and recognize, there are over 4,000 religions. Christianity there are over 4,000. Don't be put inside of a bubble thinking Christianity is the only religion that exists and Islam. There are over 4,000. And sometimes when we walk around without understanding our uniqueness and respecting each other's opportunity to have their own uniqueness, we find ourselves in problems. Walk through the earth, discover the earth, love humanity, and respect humanity. Have a respect. That's why people hate the United Nations, because it appears as if the United Nations embrace everybody. But you have to embrace humanity. You're a human being, and you have to respect human beings. Why would you be comfortable as a Christian to think you should live peaceably and Muslims should die? Or why would you be the other way, Muslims should live peaceably and Christians die, or any other religion? We all coexist on the same space. And unfortunately, there are those in the world who want a peaceful coexistence. And there are those who are opposed to a peaceful coexistence. And as long as we're here, we will continue to have battles. But as ambassadors, I would never appoint an ambassador or put an ambassador in place that does not have a respect for humanity. I will never do it. Because if you do not respect humanity, then you're going to walk into an environment and you are going to destroy the ecosystem of creating a sustainable existence for those who will come after you. Are you guys with me? Please say if you're with me. If you're with me, just let me know you're with me.
Yeah.
Yes. We are world leaders. I'm not a church builder. I'm not building a church. That's not who I am. If God wants to say to me, Michael, you miss your call, you miss your mark, let him and I talk when I get up there. But I want to see by the grace of God that my time on this earth is spent making sure that individuals prepare a place that their children and the children of others can coexist peacefully and they can live in harmony. That is my desire in my heart. And if that means that I have to respect somebody's right to be who they are, and they respect my right to be who I am, and my children's right to be who they are, and they're comfortable, then I'm happy. Because at the end of the day, the same water from the same Thames River that all of us drink, guess what? All of us drink it. The same vaccination that was given to the Christian, the Buddhist, and the Muslim, guess what? All who took that vaccine, they got it. So be educated, be informed. The best thing you can do for yourself is go and study the principalities that are ruling just or plateau state. Go and study. Go study. Go and study the principalities that are ruling and understand what appeases these principalities. Understand it. And then when you see the corruption, you will understand where Belial is ruling. You will understand who Belial is and who his princes are. And you can even go and potentially discuss and form the right relationship. A lot of people are complaining about as a matter of fact, in just Reverend Daniel, I want to share with you. A lot of people are complaining about the Fulani herdsmen. Did you know that your politicians are who own the cattle? Did you know the Fulani herdsmen are just herdsmen? That's all they are. They're just managing the cattle of a lot of your political leaders that are buying cows. Reverend Daniel, am I speaking correct? Please, Reverend Daniel, unmute yourself.
Yes, I have done so. You are speaking correctly. Most of the cattle are owned by politicians. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Even in Igbo land, there are many politicians who own cattle, many, and but then they hire some of these Fulanese to be the shepherd, and so on. So what you're saying is true. And when you talked about, when you called Dr. Charles to talk about when kings die and so on, I was equally clamoring to say something. What he said is really true and correct. There was a time my denomination sent us to a community for personal door-to-door evangelism. And
I want to interrupt you for a laugh. Forgive me. Please forgive me. But okay. Some of you know that when you hear the drum beating in some villages that the king has died, you better make sure. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Reverend Dyer. Go ahead.
So we were in that community, and the king died. And so very early in the morning, somebody from that community came to where we were lodging and told us never to come out until that king would be buried. And he told us that the king will be buried with 7 heads of human beings, and mainly and mostly visitors and strangers. So, and of course, it is an Igbo community, and we could speak Igbo, but then the accent, what do we call it? Yeah, the intonation, differs. So they would quickly know that we were not from that community. So we had to stay indoors until that man was buried, and he was buried with 7 good herds. And the idea about it is exactly what Dr. Charles said, that these 7 people would be serving him, in the other world, and so on. So it's a pity, of course, but we pray that the Lord will help us so that all of these things our people will know that they don't work that way. Thank you very much.
You know, I want to tell you something. Yeah, I want to tell you guys something. And that is real. And if you read and see and know what I know, it will scare the living daylights out of you. It will. However, you don't need to be afraid. You just need to know. Just like the people told you, don't come out. I bet a lot of you did not realize something that I'm now going to bring it to your attention because you've put it in the right perspective. A lot of you don't realize that the same thing happened when the death angel passed over in the time of the Pharaoh and the plagues. A lot of you do not realize this is exactly what happened. You do not realize it. Now you realize what actually happened. Yes, the Pharaoh was going to go to his maker. And as a result of that, when the death angel passed over, then those who are outside, if there's no blood on the doorpost, those who are outside will be taken, because that was the reaping of souls. Most of you didn't realize it. As a matter of fact, you hear the talk about the devil as an angel of light. An atomic bomb is light. Let me explain it to you. And when that light shows up, you better be in the darkness, well deep under the earth hiding, because otherwise you will be taken. And you see, we have the Bible and we are so clued up. But how do we read the Bible? With these scholars coming and reading verses of scripture and not explaining the understanding of the dynamics of history. There's no understanding of the physical world. There's no understanding of the spirit. There's no understanding of intimacy behind the message that is being sent. And we have it. We have it. We have the blueprint to what is happening. But yet we stay in corners with illiterate, and I'm going to use this right word, forgive me, but illiterate leaders trying to teach us, blind leading blind, not opening the eyes of men, because the only thing that they see is a tithe and an offering. It's a business. This is not a business. This is a historical book that is designed to teach people, look up, your redemption draws nigh. That's when the price of that is on your head needs to be paid. And if you don't follow the instructions or the directions that are duly given to you, you will lose your head. I know I get a little bit passionate there just now. Forgive me. I want to apologize for being so passionate. But I'm speaking to leaders that have the book in their hands. They have all of this, all of the scenarios, but they don't discuss them the right way. The only thing that is right to discuss is servants obey your masters. Honor the Lord with your substance. Those are the only important things that most people find. And the whole occurrence of history is right there in front of us, and we miss it. Adiola, you've gotten to join us. Go ahead, Adiola. What's on your heart? Good evening, Your Excellency Adiola.
Good evening, Your Excellency.
Good evening, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I didn't join the class on time because of the challenge that I had. I've been listening to all the contribution and everything. All I would just say is that, wherever we find ourselves, we should, although I'm not too sure of, the topic that was discussed today, but, from what I had, everyone contributing, all I just want to say is that wherever we find ourselves, or, wherever, either in our working place or in our neighborhood, people should have, we should live in peace with people around us, and, we should let our life and the way we live the way we do things, minister to them, let them see the light we are, and let them see that, we are different, and we are the leaders that we are supposed to be. Thank you so much, sir. That's all I can say this evening.
It's okay. It's in order. Thank you so very much for your submission, and I think all of us are at that place where we're important, we're valued, and just look at how can I give to the world what is necessary? How can I give to the world what I believe I will get back as well? As we walk through this journey of life, we're going to cross over many lands and many territories. You know, it says, forgive us our trespasses. We're going to trespass a lot of times. Let's hope that when we trespass, we have a neighbor that's going to look and say, oh, it's okay. Go down that corner and you're going to be fine. Because every single area that we pass is mapped. The Queen has 6.6 billion acres of land on the earth. The Queen has 6.6 billion acres of land on the earth that belongs to the crown. Do you think that a few persons, 7 people going home is going to be enough to make her feel like she is worthy of walking into the kingdom that she's going to walk into? What you see, the chaos you see, there's a bigger agenda. Don't be intimidated by the agenda. Just follow the protocols that you believe are going to keep you alive in this period. And if by any reason it is your turn or my turn, let us go knowing where we stand. Because at the end of the day, it is appointed once unto man to die. Don't be afraid of this or this time, or there's no need to be afraid. Just make sure that those that we are going to leave behind, we have put in place a good character, good attitude, a good foundation that they can stand on. Every day that I speak and every day that I share, I am mindful that if I should go, I want to make sure that I leave a good example behind. And I hope that all of you have that in your mind, that if you should go, that a good example is leave for your children and your children's children, that they can say Daddy was a good man. I told you from the beginning, write books. I told you, do journals. I told you, do posts. I told you, leave a presence here, that after you are gone, others will know you were here, but others can also look back and say, I see what he meant. I know the man myself, because as I listened to his rhetoric for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, I know what that man stands for. I know who that man is or who that woman is. The world is doing it by documenting everything that was on the earth and putting it in a safe place. Are you documenting? Are you putting in a safe place for your children and your children's children what you think is important for them to know about you? Of course, leaving a will is important with your lands and your treasures and your assets. That's important. But I think what is more important is leaving who you are, what you stand for, what are your principles, because those are the things that are going to last for eternity in the DNA that you leave on the earth. Your Excellency, Dr. Ewers, Chief of Protocol, would you sum up what we've shared this evening and with your final thoughts? Your Excellency, Dr. Donald Ewers.
Pleasant good evening once again, sir. And it has been overwhelming, sir, with all the takes, what people has contributed to what we're saying, sir. And just to add on, it is mind-blowing. One side of the coin, it depends on your intellect and how do you take and perceive all that you've said, sir, because so it can come across quite scary. It could come across quite frightening. It could come across as if you're scaremongering, but you've been factual and you have facts and evidence that you've said, and other people confirm what you're saying, sir. We live in a world that we are, how can I put it in a nutshell? We live in a world that it can be quite frightening if the truth is to be told. Even though it's factual, even though you've said it all today, sir, but the long and short of the thing, to live into a world that we live into now, when I was growing up, it totally wasn't like what it is now. So you can see the dynamics have changed dramatically. And so therefore, for the next generation, we also even have to put a question mark, how are they going to cope? Because mental health is on the rise because of people not coping. However, as you rightly say, lack of knowledge of people perish. Having the knowledge, having the information, and having a mentoring group like ours, that you're broadening our horizon, not to think in the box. You mentioned over 4,000 different religions, not to think in the box. When I was studying to do chaplaincy and to work in chaplaincy, one of the things that in chaplaincy studies, they were saying that we have to know all the different religions. And so even Rastafarian, at the time, I remember we have to know about the culture of the Rastafarians. And so everybody has an input in the world that we live in, whether we like it, yes or no. I used to call those, and forgive me for my ignorance, I used to call the people of the feathers. You know those people you join with the class of Steele with the big, the feathers and the big hat feathers things. Well, what do you call them, sir? Well, what's the name of them? What's their organization?
You talk about my Indian chiefs.
The Indian chiefs or whatever. They're people of the earth. They live off the earth. They don't believe in pharmaceutical medication. They feed, they eat, their medicine is off the earth. No, so do we condemn people like that? No, we're not in the position. And so human being, to embrace our fellow human being, whether Christians, whether Muslim, whether Buddhists, whether they're Indians, etc., we all have to live together. And so coming to the conclusion of the whole matter, sir, I would say we all have to live together, whether we like it or dislike it, whether we're black, white, whether we're Chinese, Indian, whether we're Presbyterian, whether we're Anglican, whether we're Jehovah's Witness, whatever religion we are, we all have to live together. And it's amazing talking about, sir, when we work together in the secular world, whatever faith you are, whatever religion you are, we have to work together for that company. So how is it outside in our community? The Muslims stick to their culture, the Christians stick to their culture, but yet in the work environment, in our secular job, we all have to work together for the benefit of the company. So therefore, sir, broaden horizon in thinking out of the box, thinking what this is the reality, this is the right, listening to everyone and their take and their input, sir. I would just conclude, said, Lord, we have to live together. Whether we like it, yes or no. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. And so therefore our minds have to be open, whether we like it or dislike it. So sir, well done for the mentoring group, sir. And it was very a good eye-opener. And it was also well presented, even though we didn't plan to say everything and do your research and sort of, but the facts that you brought forward was well taken. So thank you very much.
I thank you so very much, Your Excellency, for that take. And we're going to close, but I'm inclined to say this to us in the class of Steele as potential ambassadors and leaders. I'm inclined to say this. I get humbled because as my area of influence increases, I recognize the knowledge that is imparted to us is greater. And as you get more knowledge, you get a better sense of why things are the way they are. and you get a better understanding as well. Sometimes we are community minded, small. When we have one death in the community, it's a big deal to us. When we lose one loved one or one friend, it's a big deal. Or one person that we know, it's a big deal. But I tell you, the total deaths for the first week of January in the UK statistics is 12,262 persons died from the 1st to the 7th of January, 12,262. For the second week, 13,311. For the third week, 12,776. For the fourth week, week number 4, the 20th to the 20th of January, 12,401. These are statistics. These are national statistics of persons that die all over the country, all over the in that period. You know, you have a death certificate. A lot of us don't take seriously these things. We don't look at them because they don't matter to us.
Mm.
If you're a person that wants to be a world changer, a world leader, look at statistics and understand. Why didn't I get this package? Why didn't I get my package? It's 2 weeks late. It's 3 months late. Why don't you look at and recognize what's happening with international shipping? There's over 300 containers stuck on a ship inside of a canal from China. Why do you think yours is not amongst them? That's why you didn't get it, because it's not reaching. Look at some statistics and trends and be more observant of what's going on around us at a bigger level. I'm His Excellency Dr. Michael Steele, and I want to appreciate you guys so much for the stimulating discussion that we had this evening. I actually look forward to Wednesday. What are we going to discuss on Wednesday? What is going to come up? What is going to be on the table for discussion? We have healthy, good discussions, and I hope that you've benefited from the discussion that we held this evening. I want to wish you a wonderful evening, and I look forward to our meeting on Wednesday, all things being equal. Zenis, I want to thank you so very much for your participation. Adiola, Reverend Daniel Sapuru, Your Excellency, Dr. Charles, and I know that First Lady is going around. She is there, but equally, I want to thank all of you who participated this evening. I wish you a fantastic week ahead and look forward to seeing us on Wednesday. Good evening and God bless. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Zionist, I'm going to call. I need to speak with you.
Good night, Zionist.
I have a very handsome visitor, Your Excellency. No disturbance tonight.
Then you should call me the first time you're available tomorrow. I will not be rude. I need to speak with you, but I'll speak with you.